We're recording. Here we are.
Woo.
Welcome. Good to see you. You made it back from your long flight, Rachel, from New York to LA.
Did you get a lay down bed?
Yes, I did.
Yes,
You did? Those are the
lay
best.
And back. Which really, I hate flying. I'm such a nervous flyer and I hate turbulence. For some reason, all of those fears go away in first class.
Yeah.
So I'm eating a ridiculous hot fudge sundae.
God, yeah.
Guys, I
Especially
love New
laying
York.
down.
Exactly.
You're like, nothing will
Can you
happen.
actually, excuse me, can you spoon feed it to me because I'm kind of lying down?
And you get nice socks. They give you bonobos.
Oh yeah, they gave me socks. They gave me eye mask. You know what is shitty about this is such a stupid conversation to have. But you know what's shitty about first class is that I always feel so pressured to eat the meal. I'm always I have to either, it doesn't matter how exhausted I am, I'm like, I have to stay awake.
They heated this in an oven.
If I don't eat it, I don't get it. And I have to eat it when I have to eat it.
And I think that's the mentality of people who didn't grow up sitting in first class. To be served a meal on a plane, it's I'm not gonna waste this opportunity. This is thrilling.
Oh my god.
And
want to
I do see businessmen be like, no, just coffee black. And I'm like, what the fuck happened to you? You've been jaded.
I did ask I felt so alive in this moment, also such a piece of shit, but I did ask on the way home because I was so tired and was passing out in the car, because the wake up call for Good Morning Football is no joke, you guys, especially when our bodies are Pacific time. I'm waking up at 1:50 in the morning, my body time.
Wow.
So I was so tired, and I was just like, can I please, I was rehearsing it in my seat. I was like, can I please have my dinner later? Excuse me, sir, would it be possible? I'm so tired. Can I just get it in half an hour, just a quick cat nap? And he was like, oh yeah, no problem, you're fine. So I had a little doze and then came back to life and got to eat my meal. This is so stupid.
No, but there's just something.
Whenever.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember the first time I sat on a plane where they just had a footrest. And I was like, this is life-changing.
Yeah.
And the more you travel as a comedian, the more you get status on an airline, and the more, and so I've been a Delta Diamond for a couple years, and they let you keep your status now because of COVID for the next 2.
Oh yeah.
And so I always have the lounge. I always get upgrade. You know what I mean? And I'm just it's really hard to go back.
You cannot. The lounge. Cannot.
No. Speaking of the lounge, how do you guys dress for the airport? Because I dress like a piece of shit. And I tried to do, I don't ever get access
I'm not
to
Ivanka
airport
Trump.
lounges. No.
I
don't ever get access to airport lounges. And I did in New York, and I tried to go in, and she goes, looked at me and was just
no.
You don't have a ton of you don't have a ton of time. I'm like,
no.
I have over an hour.
Get
can I
first of all,
can I just go sit? I was I won't eat anything.
Let me
can I just go sit?
Let me get my free hummus. I have plenty of time. I actually think it's a power move. I sit in first class with Crocs, leopard Crocs, and it's what? Oh, you worked? No, I tell jokes. So who's the fucking idiot here?
I always feel like they think a man bought me the ticket.
Yes.
That's my biggest problem when I'm up there. I'm I hope they know that I did this all by myself. This is not someone else taking care of this. This is my money that I spent on this plane. That's what, when comics ask me for advice, I always go, pick one airline and stick with it. It will change your life. It will change your life.
Yeah, my phrase that's always in my head is oh, these men are wondering whose dick I sucked to be up here. Yeah. And the truth is, I sucked my own dick,
It is funny that we have these thoughts. Nobody else around us is probably thinking this, and we're oh, they probably think that I'm this, that, and the other. It's so weird.
Yeah. Well, I did start wearing, sometimes I'll wear I have a Nike sweatshirt and matching pants. And I'm people for sure think I'm a choreographer. I'm just in monochromatic, and then a hat and cute. I now am, Sarah watched me give myself a head injury right before we started doing this. And I am wondering if that's playing a part into my character right now.
I always feel because I'm I've sat next to a lot of really I sat next to oh gosh, Now I'm gonna look like an idiot. But I sat next to who's the athlete that's like always into Bitcoin, wants to be paid in Bitcoin.
Tom Brady. Aaron
no,
Rodgers.
I keep thinking of Russell Okung. And he played for the Seahawks and then like ended up he's like the biggest proponent of Bitcoin in the NFL. And like we had this huge long conversation when I was pregnant, like about him and his wife trying to get pregnant. Like they live in Long Beach. It's like you also meet some of the coolest people up there that like you're like, oh, I don't even belong. I'm not a pro athlete. And you're like, oh no, I mean I probably make close to league minimum.
Oh no.
It's fine. But like, yeah, I just hate like that feeling of like insecurity that I get up there, but then I'm always like, I'm going to sleep and then I forget about it. Although if
like,
it's not a bed,
mouth open.
I can't fall asleep in the regular seats. I do prefer to sit in like Comfort Plus if I'm gonna sleep, because at least I can lean against the window, because in first class, if you're in the regular seats, the window is like way too far.
Too far.
I know, first world problems, but yeah.
Truly, this whole segment.
I like a really chunky neck pillow.
You do.
And slept on it, and it got turned around on me the last time, and I had like told the man next to me I was pregnant, and like I like jolted awake, and he was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "For sure not, dude."
Well, I actually heard that a lot of people wear them with the opening here, but the opening's I've heard it's supposed to be in the back so that you can lean forward.
Whoa.
Oh
that you're not supposed to lean back.
This show is educational. This show is educational. Have you guys ever, I sometimes twitch in my sleep, so I'm always kind of afraid when I'm sitting next to somebody. I was flying to India, like a crazy long flight, and a woman next to me punched me fully. I think I was like trying to get out, like it was in the middle of the night, everyone was sleeping, I really had to pee, and I was just like, fuck, this sucks. And I was like, excuse me, and she just went and fully didn't apologize either, just was so in the moment, and then went right back to sleep. And I was like, oh,
how do you go back to sleep?
I'm holding it. Holy shit.
You didn't even get out then?
No, I think I did. I think I maneuvered my way around her. I did like one of the step over.
I stepped over
on the
so
seat
many.
Where I like rock across the hand rest. When we went to Africa to perform, we were like starting a Middle East comedy tour for the troops, and we were going to Africa first, and we had to get all these vaccines. And like one of the things that my doctor put me on was hydrochloroquine, which was to prevent malaria. And you know, now it made like all the talk and the headlines for COVID, but the side effect of that is that you have crazy nightmares. So I'm like on these airplanes, and I would have dreams that like all these moths were flying into my mouth, and I would be like, and like everyone around me is terrified. I feel like, oh my God.
There's literally nothing scarier than hearing a scream on a plane. Like I can't think of a worse thing to experience while flying.
It's just like, I know, just so embarrassing, but good for you. You were on Good Morning Football for 2 days. Not long enough, in my opinion. No. We want more Rachel all the time. Did you have a good time?
I had such a blast. They asked me at the end of the second day, they were like, so like, as we're wrapping up, it's Rachel's last day, like anything that you want to say? And I like almost started to cry. It was a combination of being really, really tired, and we had Nate Boyer on because it was service week, and he was telling us all about, you know, his we actually didn't even touch on that while I was there, but yes, he's amazing and was telling us all these stories, and that was really emotional. And I think I just got into this like weird like vibey spot, and so they were like, what did you think? And you know, I've only been covering football for 4 years, and I fell in love with the sport because of this show. Like I would watch it every single day when I felt like an idiot. I had only covered soccer in my career, and they taught me so much in such a digestible, inviting, like silly, dumb way. And I was just like thanking them, and I was like, please let me on this show now. Start crying on national television. But it was truly so great. Everyone was so supportive. It was like wild. I've just never been treated that way on a show, so it was really lovely.
That's awesome.
Yay.
You were great on it, and all the social media. I was like, you retweet those compliments, girl. These people love you.
No, it was really fun. It was a blast and just so exciting. And also, I hadn't been to New York in like 3 years, So
yeah.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
Anyways, enough about me. Meg, let's talk about Hard Knocks, which was on Wednesday night. You're in Indianapolis right now. What's the buzz? What's the buzz on the ground?
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Do you see the film crew?
The streets are abuzz. Well, in the trailer, a Colts player lives next door to my parents, and in the trailer, he's in his house, and so I'm like, oh, they were next door, and my dad is like, when do you think they were here? And I'm like, well, production wise, it may have been when you were in LA, and he's like, were you trying to keep me away? I'm like, there is nothing I would want more than you walking in the background of Hard Knocks, Dad. Like, I would never keep you away from that.
Oh my goodness.
But the first episode, it was all like, please like us, because no one, when this was announced, everyone was like, boo. And I was like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. So it was tons of kids. At one point, 7 players' wives were pregnant out of the 53-man roster, and Rigoberto had just had a newborn.
Oh my
and
God.
so it was so many kids, and they had a double gender reveal party at the stadium.
Oh
And
my God.
two linemen both having girls. So it was really fun. And they knew better than to Gordon Hayward it. Like, they were like, yay! So it was really cute and fun. Carson Wentz's daughter's really cute. Darius Leonard's daughter chugged a Sprite and then was acting crazy. And so she's sort of the breakout star. But yeah, I think it's going to be really fun. Rigoberto said of like watching his wife, he's like, I had always been in awe of my wife. And then seeing her give birth to our child made me realize I'm not worthy. And I was like, a punter? Oh my God, this is just like, you are too much for me. I think I'm going to get a Sanchez jersey now.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Great first episode. My dad was watching with me. He goes, this was smart. I'm like, yeah, they know what they're doing. They know how to pick the stories that are going to work. And it's definitely Darius Leonard doing his daughter's hair for sure.
Oh my gosh, that's cute. I love when football players, everyone was kind of like on Dan Campbell a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you guys saw, but he was crying in his.
Oh, I loved it.
I love shit like that.
I do
too. You're normal humans. Be normal humans.
Bring
I know you play
humanity.
the toughest sport in the entire world, but I just think it's a really beautiful thing when these like rough and tough dudes can.
And they're like massive. These massive linemen have like these itty bitty daughters. Like, it's so funny to watch them play with them. It's really cute.
I can't imagine like how fun it must be to have a dad that big and strong who could literally throw you up in the air. So all I ever want in my life is for somebody to pick me up, because I'm like, oh, I'm so little, I'm so tiny, like my friend who's a wrestler, I would like ask him to do it all the time. He's like, I can't do that to anyone, because if I hurt myself,
pull my back out.
I can get sued.
Yeah, you want someone that's like, it's easy. You don't want someone that's like sometimes CJ's like, I'll carry you to the bedroom. And I'm like, honey, you tore an ACL. You have a bad ankle. I can hear your throat straining.
I don't need to hear the grunt.
You can put me down.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mark Glowinski, spin me around like a Harlem Globetrotter, please.
That is amazing. Well, that's I really want to watch it. I'm starting to buy in on the Chiefs. They play the Bills this weekend, which I think is going to be very difficult. But
Colts.
Colts.
Yeah.
Colts.
Yeah.
I know they're
but that would be
5
amazing if they win. That would be incredible to catch.
I know they're 5-5. So to me, it's like the season starting this weekend.
How was Carson Wentz in it? Last question. How was Carson Wentz? Was he
he comes across really well. I mean, he did say he would miss the birth of his child to play the Jaguars. And to me, I'm like, I don't understand your form of Christianity.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, I'll just meet my wife at the hospital afterwards. And she totally gets that. His house was so quintessentially modern farmhouse. Like, it looked like Chip and Joanna Gaines had just left. I'm talking shiplap. I'm talking barn doors. And it was like no house has screamed Carson Wentz to me more than this house.
Really?
But they show him and Frank Reich bonded. Frank Reich, like, when he was recruiting him for the Eagles, said a Bible verse to him that like somehow has to relate to football, because that's how, what Jesus was thinking. And then when they like parked, Carson Wentz turned up showed him his phone, and it was his screensaver. And
no way.
Like, yeah,
they love each other, huh?
They love each other and they love Jesus Christ, their
They
Lord and
love
Savior.
Jesus and they love football. My number one.
Yes.
It's like Urban
Wow.
Meyer and Tim Tebow. You're like, ugh, get a room already in a church.
Over it. Okay, well let's talk about something that's. Oh yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
I just wanted to tell you really quick that I'm listening to this new podcast that I think you might like. I don't know if you've ever heard about The Rumor involving Cal Ripken Jr.
No.
So there's a rumor. You remember Cal Ripken Jr., his record in baseball is that he played the most consecutive games in a row. It was like 3,000, I think was the total, but 2,400 or something was like the break, which is really incredibly hard to do without injury or anything like that. So he had already broken the streak. And then like after that, he was still continuing his streak. And one night the Orioles were playing I believe it was the Indians and or the Mariners, and the lights go out at the stadium and they go, oh, we can't play the game. But it was like still daylight. And then they were like, what? And so there's this rumor that the reason they didn't play the game is because Cal Ripken Jr. caught his wife in bed with Kevin Costner and he beat the shit out of Kevin Costner and couldn't play the game. You know this, right? You've heard this rumor.
I heard about this and I made a mental note. You gotta look into that. What?
Yes. I thought you were just gonna say another man, and then you said Kevin Costner, and it's like this got elevated.
Kevin Costner is a hottie with a body.
Yeah, so is Cal Ripken Jr. I mean, this lady is
girl press.
Double dipping in the best way ever. And so this podcast is all about that, and it's told by these two Baltimore Orioles fans who are like the biggest fans in the world, and they're like really struggling with like finding out the truth because they don't actually want to know.
Women or men?
They're two men. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say really struggling with how bad the Orioles have been for the last like 15 years.
That's easy.
Wow, this is amazing.
Yeah,
rumor.
So it's kind of fun because Kevin Costner also went on the radio to like dispel the rumor and like only made it worse. And now all the footage of that and all the audio of that and of the game, of like the pregame, all of that is gone. No one knows where it is. They can't access it. There's it's just enough, like, you know, it could be true. Like both things could be true, but it's all, you know, it's kind of fun. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you about that because it seemed gossipy and right up our alley.
Oh my gosh. I think we all need to listen to it and start doing like a weekly recap.
Yes. Yeah.
I would love that, Chris. Okay, something that I really want to talk about. This was in our group thread. I love that as soon as news hits, it's like immediately in our group chat, which is a very beautiful thing. Okay, so I believe this happened on Monday Night Foosball. The Rams and the 49ers. The Rams got their butts kicked by the 49ers, which I think was shocking. And Kelly Stafford, the wife of Rams quarterback Matt Stafford, apparently threw a chunk of a pretzel, not a full pretzel, but a chunk of a pretzel at a fan. And somebody called her out on her Instagram and they said, why did you throw a pretzel at a Niners fan sitting behind me? Show some class and support your husband with his new team with grace, please. I'm a Rams fan and am embarrassed by your actions last night. So many thoughts. Okay, so she did respond. She did respond on the Instagram thread. And this was all picked up by TMZ. Girl, I know. I'm an idiot. Girl,
I lived in Detroit too long, girl.
Like 17 W's and I know. I'm an idiot. He was saying a bunch of things that were aggressive towards our crew, but zero excuse. I tried to apologize, but in the end I was wrong. Will always stand up for my guy and everyone I love, but obviously I need to do it completely different. I'm embarrassed. Sorry you had to witness that weak moment. So we have some thoughts because Kelly Stafford, you know, famously, Matt Stafford was still playing for the Lions. What did she call Michigan?
She said that living in her, a 10 to 15,000 square foot house felt like being a prisoner in her own home.
I believe the word dictatorship, Michigan was a dictatorship, was used about the COVID lockdowns and
yes. And let's note that Michigan was also the state where a very valid plot to kidnap, I think, and murder the governor was discovered by like 6 men that would have been at the insurrection. So it's not, it was a hot issue, that definitely could have led to the governor's really beautiful too. And it's like, okay, I know why you guys were kidnapping her now. No one's kidnapping the Indiana governor. Let's just say that. Yeah, Kel,
my question to ask you guys is, okay, so there's two sides to think of it. Let's forget just for a moment of like what we know about Kelly Stafford. I feel like most of the time, wives of athletes, we never hear from. They are, the secondary story. We're always just so obsessed with these athletes. So I don't want to say that these wives and girlfriends and whomever can't, be passionate and have a voice and have their own life outside of being a football player's wife. This is obviously taking it to a whole other level, but do you guys like the passion at all?
Oh, hell yeah. I would have thrown a fucking Coke in that dude's face. If anybody talked about my man, second of all, my second favorite man, Matthew Stafford, who went to Georgia, my phone message for the last 11 years has said, "You've reached Sarah Tiana and Matthew Stafford. Please leave a message." I call him, I tell Cage that's his stepdad all the time when we're watching him on television, because I just want Cage to just like be comfortable with that idea when Kelly's out of the picture. But like, if I heard somebody talking shit about Matt Stafford, I would have thrown anything I had in my hand at them. And if anybody talked about Chris, I would have thrown anything in my hand and pushed him down the stairs, no matter what level we're on in the stadium. Like, no. I have no problem with it at all. I wish there was mustard on it. I wish it was the whole pretzel. I'm shocked she was eating a pretzel. Like,
yeah,
I don't give a shit. And it's in San Francisco, and like, it's a 49ers fan. Like, just get over yourself, you snowflake. Get out of here.
I just think it's so, like, the visual is so funny.
I know.
And the fact that she was definitely in a suite, like, she's in a suite throwing food out of the suite onto a person who's in, like, the 300 level. So it is class warfare, unfortunately. It is me throwing at non-suite. And so I do take an issue with the caste system being a part of it. I definitely remember when Giselle got caught, but like she was exiting the Super Bowl and she was like, my husband had anyone to throw to. Like she was like, so
he can't pass the ball and catch the ball at the same fucking time. That's what she said
really
about Edelman.
Funny because it's like, that is a good analysis. Like he did need more weapons. You're right.
It was actually Wes Welker that she was saying that about, but yeah.
But this is, if we don't know any of the COVID of it, and I do believe she's recently had a brain tumor.
She recovered from a brain tumor, and they have 5 kids. Like,
I wonder if it's something too of like, you're part of the LA news cycle now. And people always talk about like the New York news cycle, but it's like, there's no TMZ Detroit. So like, this is gonna get picked up. You live in LA, you gotta conduct yourself in a way that people are watching at all times. It's just a much bigger stage. But I've definitely, once a Steelers fan hit me in the face with a terrible towel, and I said to her, "You can be a bitch or ugly, but you cannot be both, ma'am." So,
and you called her ma'am? Oh no!
And she did not throw hands at me, and it could have escalated. Like, it seems like post-COVID, there's been so many female fights at stadiums too. Like, remember that woman that spit on a guy? Like, they're just going out at a 10. And it's like, maybe Kel just needs to sit in the second row of the suite.
I kind of like it. Like, I can't imagine. I think it just made her seem very like a real person to me, because we have no idea the amount of shit that she has in her inbox, that she's tagged in, that is commented on every single one of her photos, that's being sent to her house, like across the board. Especially because of the COVID and Detroit situation, she gets shit on all the time. And I think to a point that is the father of her 5 children. And they have been through so much, and she probably feels so incredibly happy that Matt Stafford is starting to find success because he's just been on the freaking Lions. Minus the last 2 weeks where he's kind of like faltered. But, I think it was probably just like a moment of passion, and I kind of like it. And I love that it was a chunk of a pretzel.
Yeah,
she could have
really
thrown,
funny.
she could have thrown the whole pretzel, and she didn't. She threw a chunk.
The other thing is that Kelly is an athlete too. Like, she played basketball in college, and that's how they met. And so she has that kind of passion of an athlete. She knows how hard it is. So I think that just came out.
My vote is that we see more from the wives and the girlfriends. Like, we've talked about this before. They are what is fascinating to us.
Yeah.
Like, they are, keeping a family alive while these guys are on the road all the time. They are coming to every single game. They are rooting on their partner and, creating whatever ventures that they want to, go out on. And I think that this was, I don't always agree with Kelly Stafford, but I'm here for this one.
Yeah, I'm shocked she doesn't have a thicker skin after being a part of the Lions organization for so long. And I'm also wondering, Sarah, if this like bodes well for you. Like, she's been getting some bad press. Matt you could be a stepmother to those 5 children.
I'm a really good mom, and I can multitask.
And you make really good snacks, make really good food, and you've kept it tight. You look good too.
And I went to Georgia too. You know what I mean? Like,
I think you guys have a lot in common, actually. I think that could work for you.
So that's why I'm rooting for her to keep doing bad shit, because I want him to leave her so then Sarah can swoop in.
You want this chaos.
Exactly. And then we get to be in the suite throwing shit,
Oh, shit, I didn't even think about that. Actually, I'm very into this. Where's the petition I'll sign now?
Yeah, I'll throw anything. Once I'm done with my meal, I'm willing to
Exactly, right.
First, I have to eat. All right, well, let's take our anger into a different direction, because this came out today. There's a Chinese doubles tennis player named Peng Shui, however it's said. So at the beginning of November, she publicly posted about being sexually assaulted by the vice premier of China. It was quickly deleted 30 minutes later. No one has heard from her since. So then the WTA, the World Tennis Association, started investigating it after enough people were like, what the fuck's going on? Including her agent. And then China was like, nothing's going on. And then, oh, by the way, here's an email that we just got from her saying she's okay, and that the allegations about sexual assault were false. And she's just been like resting in her apartment for 2 weeks and she's fine. You're like, like, I've listened to enough true crime.
Yeah.
I've listened to enough bullshit that's like, something's going down and I want to get to the bottom of it.
Because even the way that she came out with the sexual assault was, there's a quote here. It says, this is her words when she was speaking about it at first. I know that for someone of your stature, Vice Premier, there's no way I'm going to be able to say his name, you have said that you are not afraid. But even if it is like throwing an egg against a rock, or if I am like a moth drawn to the flame, inviting self-destruction, I will tell the truth about you. That is not someone that then a few weeks later is back down. Never mind.
Yep.
No, I mean, she openly, it's kind of that thing of saying, they're going to come after me. I know it. She called this. The foreshadowing is so ominous and so dark. And now that's exactly what's happening. And with China, I just don't know, like, who gets involved at this point. Like, what?
Well, they also have so much control over the media,
social media
in itself. So they can easily delete things that they don't like to see. It is still a communist place.
Dictatorship.
Yeah.
It's insane. I think that for women in this part of the world, it is a very scary thing to come forward with sexual assault.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't, because it is so terrifying. We're worried about repercussions. We're worried about losing our jobs. For her to say, it like made me emotional reading this. Even if it is like throwing an egg against a rock, I'm still going to do this. Inviting self-destruction. I will tell the truth about you. Like, the bravery that this woman had posting this stuff. And I read about, the accusation, and it's disgusting. And, she said that she fully did not consent and cried the entire time.
That there was someone standing outside the door preventing her from leaving.
Just, I can't even imagine that feeling. I really can't. It's so disturbing and fucked up. And for her to have the boldness and the bravery truly to stand up for women everywhere. She did that for us. She did that for everyone. And it's like, I have chills even thinking about it. And she knew that these things were going to happen. Even I was reading the Women's Tennis Association came out and said, this doesn't feel like something she would have said. And like everyone across the board is like,
no, she's clearly currently in harm's way. If she's alive, I mean, like that's a genuine fear at this point. And it's like, I don't know. I don't think China is an active part of the United Nations. I don't think, like, someone has to find her and make sure she's safe, because I do not think she is. And it seems like you turn against China and they will destroy you. So it's like it's a matter of, like, who does something at this point.
It's very easy. You ping their phone, you see if it's been used for the last 2 weeks. Then you check their credit cards and, like, see if they've been using money, because, like, that's like the very start of an investigation. You just start.
But they won't even let that happen. Like, I mean, it's going to be it's going to be the investigation team in China that does that. The United States is not going to, like, intervene and be like, hi, we would like to investigate this. Like, no, that's not.
But it does take people like Naomi Osaka, who's been tweeting about it, Novak Djokovic, like all these big celebrities that will get people involved, and then we'll get the story heard, so that there is more pressure applied, and outside sources can try to use the resources that they might have in China to do some sort of investigation. Because obviously, when you're making an accusation against a very high-ranking government official who has the kind of power with a phone call to make you go away.
Jeez. This is not the last that we've heard of this. This is gonna blow up.
No, and they need to, whatever they have, like, if they need to ban Chinese athletes into, like, if they need to put an embargo on, and
the Olympics are coming up. Like,
yes, I feel terrible for those other Chinese tennis players, but it's like, they need an amount of pressure put on them, because it's like, I kept thinking about this during the Nasser investigations, and I'm like, these are the most famous gymnasts in the country, and they could not get justice. This is a world famous, beloved. China loves nothing more than their athletes, and the audacity and the arrogance and the just vile disregard for humanity that these men have to go, I'm going to do it to. Like, then it goes, what is this man done to people that do not have an international platform?
Yeah, wow.
And that is, like, this is not, it's just.
It was at his own house with, like, his wife there. They invited her over to play doubles.
Play tennis,
And then, like, under your, like, just, like,
disgusting.
And that's, like, this has happened before. It will happen again. And it's so scary, because still no one has seen this woman.
Also, in her email, she goes on at the end that's just like, I want nothing more to, continue the game of tennis and to watch tennis grow in China, and, like, to, really Chinese make a mark on the world for Chinese tennis. Like, it's like,
what? You just want Chinese tennis to be okay?
She also said, I hope that I can come back and compete again. It's just like, girlfriend, what?
They did. The email was too heavy-handed. Like, it was, like, so obvious that they wrote it that it's like, you guys aren't even bad at pretending this is her.
Government publicist, you're like,
and then there was a cursor. You could see a cursor stuck in it.
What's
so it
this?
Wasn't even,
what does that mean? You could see
that means it was screenshotted. So it's not, like, basically someone wrote it and then the cursor is in there, because you see when you type an email, the cursor's, you don't have you ever sent an email
like you can still edit it?
So it was written and then screenshotted and then sent. So it's like, yeah, sometimes they do shit like this, and I'm like, you guys are stupid. Like, kids are better at making fake IDs than you are.
How are you guys the smartest
Yeah.
people in the world and the dumbest people in the world
Yes.
sometimes?
That is so scary.
I hope she's found quickly and safely, and
Yeah.
that there's really terrible punishment for this, but just knowing who's involved, it feels really
you just feel helpless because you're like, this just sucks. But I'm glad we all know about it. That's half the battle is like that people know, and then like.
And kudos to Naomi Osaka. She was the first tweet that I saw about it.
Yeah.
Same. And I don't usually agree with Novak, but I'm happy that he is. Like, you know, I think he's done some damage to women's tennis that it's good for him to take this up. Okay, switching to a less serious, less upsetting, yet still upsetting story. The Staples Center has changed its name. So they signed a 20-year deal, which is too long, for it to be named Crypto.com Arena, I believe. And like, first of all, Staples is, I like forget that it's named after a company already.
Printer.
But it like became so, you know, it's like the easy button. But it became such an iconic name, and like we just call it Staples. I really hate when this stuff happens in Indianapolis. I grew up going to a place called the Hoosier Dome, the greatest name of a stadium ever. And then Bankers Life has been changed to, it was Conseco, then Bankers Life, then back to, changed 5 times. And so I know this is just like what the new world of sports is. But when they asked Russell Westbrook about this, he thought it was called Crips, like the gang. He was like, Crips Stadium?
That's what they will call it for short, though, for short, right? The Crip?
Yeah. And like, how is crypto going to age for 20 years? We have no idea. Like, this could be called Quibi
I didn't even think about that, yeah.
You know, like, this is not going to last.
You don't think so?
Crypto?
Yeah, dude, I do not think it's going anywhere. I think it's the future.
Oh no,
that's what NFTs are. NFTs are a way of embezzling money through crypto. I mean, Steph Curry's avatar is an NFT.
All right. Well, I guess I need to invest in it.
I know, that's why I feel like so shitty. I'm literally the last one to hop on every single trend in the entire world because I can't keep up with it. And then I'm going to be friggin'
broke.
I'm going to be a poor person because my money's not going to mean anything anymore.
But at least you could go to Canada and still get surgery. Sarah and I are going to be down here with arms growing out of our heads.
Why am I going to need surgery?
I don't know. I just assume you will.
Oh, I hate this new world.
You're going to need a third arm to reach into your pockets because they'll be so full of money. That's why.
How do we and like there's obviously a trend now too, the NBA has brands on their jerseys that like really doesn't actually bother me that much. For some reason stadium names, I don't know why I am so precious with them, but I really hate this, and I love when they're just named after dead people, and that seems nice, or like even like a hospital. I don't know. There's just some really
I just feel like there's so many other ways to advertise. I actually hate the jersey situations. I remember when I started covering soccer and like just saw all these egregious things on the front of jerseys. I mean, soccer goes way overboard. Like, I want to see my crest. I want to see my colors. I don't want to see, you know, Sprouts Farmers Market. Shout out to Angel City FC. That's their new sponsor. But you know, it just takes away from, it's just think about a stadium. Think about all the goddamn space that these people have to advertise. And it's just like, you know, people are eventually gonna, I don't know, have tattoos of shit on their face.
Yeah, I know. It feels like kind of like a NASCAR race where you're like, well, I don't even know what this, like SoFi. I'm like, I don't know what SoFi is.
Yeah.
Like, you might be the name of the stadium, but I don't know what you sell. I have no idea. I know what crypto is. That's the only thing. But like, I know, like, Megan, you sent like a list of some other bad stadium names, and the one in Chicago is always my favorite.
Least This is my least favorite is Rio Grande Credit Union Field at Isotopes Park. So it's obviously like they weren't allowed to take Isotopes Park out of it legally in some way. So it's a Rio Grande Credit Union Field at like it's so. And then I feel bad because there's Mercedes-Benz Stadium where your beloved Falcons play, and Mercedes-Benz Superdome. And I'm like, they didn't even get separate
We're rivals.
sponsors.
We're rivals.
Yes.
Who did nobody have a friggin' conference call about this? Like, it should have been
BMW wasn't like, listen, we'll get in there. It is like it's the same sponsor. It's so sad. And it's like the things we all know about Mercedes-Benz, and we're buying it. We're buying it or we're not.
Yeah, that's why. Like, I miss Turner Field. That was just named after Ted Turner because he paid for it.
It should be something just super simple, and then have something on the field or around the arena. Like, it doesn't need to be. I wonder how Staples is feeling today. So was it like the end of their contract, and they were like,
the contract's been done for 2 years. They haven't.
And the thing is, it would have been a really amazing opportunity to call it Kobe Bryant Stadium.
Right. Yeah.
How emotional would that have been?
But it's been Staples for so long because I can remember on the Roseanne Bar Roast, we used it as a reference. Like, I remember, like, it was like, I think Staples Center is what she calls her stomach.
Oh, Jesus.
Sarah, the one you hate the most is Guaranteed Rate Field, which is where the White Sox play, which used to be Comiskey. Which then became U.S. Cellular, which people called the Cell, which was like palatable.
Yeah, perfect
but
for Chicago.
Guaranteed Rate
I hate the .com of it all. I just to call it Crypto Stadium or whatever. The Crypto.com Stadium is atrocious. Just the .com makes it.
Yeah, it's just so funny. We're longing for Staples.
Staples,
and that's how I felt about U.S. Cellular. I'm like, oh, the good old days of U.S. Cellular Field. Some of we get used to it, and
that's why it's like Chavez Ravine. It's like at least the name is in there, so I know who they stole the property from. So it's like a little history lesson at the same time.
You know that this is going to totally be a very different viewing experience as well. Like, you're going to be able to buy a hot dog with crypto. You're going to be able to buy your tickets with crypto. It's going to totally change that experience.
So will you teach it to us?
Yeah, will you give us a...
It's very easy. I mean, it's just stocks you can buy into it, but the money goes up and down. But the problem with crypto is you might make a ton, like when Tom Brady threw that 600th pass, and what's his name gave it to the guy in the stand, and then the Bucks team had to go back and get it back. They were like, he wouldn't give it back at first, and then they're like, well, we'll give you a jersey, a Tom Brady, and he's like, okay, but then Tom Brady ended up giving him a Bitcoin, which is worth $65,000 now. So just one Bitcoin. The problem with crypto is that you could make a lot of money really fast. I mean, hello, we bought a house, you know what I mean? But
from crypto?
Partly, yeah. I mean, that's how we helped come down with the deposit, But Chris got into it very early. I got into it because he was into it. And it's a lot, but also when you pull it out, you have to pay a ton of taxes on it. So that's why people are buying NFTs, because NFTs are a way that you can only buy an NFT with crypto. And so it's a way of buying something with crypto, but not paying tax on it.
But I think the thing that scares me about the crypto and the NFTs of it all is my friend is a NFT artist, and he's made a butt ton of money this past year off of creating his own art. But the thing is, their coins become so valuable that nobody spends it, and then all of a sudden it's just sitting, and then the price fluctuates, and then it's hard. He's not selling NFTs right now because nobody's spending it because ETH or whatever is so low or so high. I don't understand how it works, but
Ethereum,
I just think I don't know.
Whatever. I'll take you guys down to the crypt whenever you want. We'll go watch the Kings play.
The Crypt Keeper. That's what I'm gonna call you now. Okay, so we wanted to end we are not going to go into depth on this story, but just, God, I don't even want to say the word highlighting, but a horrific video came out of former Jets running back Zach Stacy violently, one of the most violent videos I've ever seen, beating his ex-girlfriend and mother of his child, Kristen Evans. And the reason that the video came out is because she had to tweet it because she could not get anyone in the Florida State Attorney's Office to file charges against him. And so she had to go public with this video. There's no one on earth who would see this and not think it's the most egregious, terrible thing they've ever seen. And the fact that it took days for them to do anything about it is disgusting. And they should be ashamed. And I'm glad that she has this platform. She tweeted, "No one should have to go through what I went through and then have to